Good afternoon and welcome back. We today for information technology are going to be revising all of the stuff that we actually need to know for the final exam with regards to text files, string handling, and arrays. You will find that typically string handling and text files actually go together because text files only stores data of type string. And with regards to arrays, they would actually ask you to access a text file, extract data from it, separate the data, and store it into two different arrays or three arrays, etc. Over and above that, they could actually ask you to extract data from a text file, manipulate it, and store it in a new text file. So what we're actually going to be looking at is this today. Okay, we have a project called One Day Arrays Revision Project, and we have a text file called results.txt, right? Now, this is basically the GUI that will be provided. We actually have buttons. We've got a rich edit. We've got a combo box and another button. Okay, we are probably going to actually finish this entire program over this Saturday and next Saturday so that we actually have a complete lesson with regards to this section. Now, typically in an examination, they'll tell you the first three lines of data are in that particular format. The format they're talking about is first its surname, hash, first name, hash, mark 1, hash mark 2, and hash mark 3. So your separator is actually the hash. And remember, in programming, your separator is called a delimiter. So the first three lines of text in the text file, Atkins, hash, Tashiana, hash, and three values, PageNut, Jyoti, 52, 22, 11, etc. Now, one of the things that learners actually have difficulty with is understanding that you can write methods in any program. For some strange reason, a lot of learners only believe that you can write methods in an object class, when we're doing OOP. So we're going to be looking at that today first. So the first question is this, question 1A, write a method, get lowest. So this is basically telling us what the name of the method is going to be. So you need to understand that when you're answering it, you have to give it that same name because that is what the examiners are actually telling you to do. So this method get lowest will receive three integer values. So we ask ourselves, firstly, if it's going to receive anything, then we need formal parameters, right? So it's going to receive three values and determine, and this is the keyword return. What does return actually tell us? Return tells us that since this method is going to return something, is it going to be a procedure or a function? And the only method that we know is a function returns. A procedure doesn't necessarily have to return. We can use a procedure to return values, but we're not going to use that method. So we have get lowest. So the name of the function is get lowest, and it's going to return the lowest value of the three values it received. So if we come to Delphi, we have this, right? We have this, And we've got extract and display arrays, sort, etc. But we gonna move on to our methods. So let's go and look at code. We would generally put it under private since it's going to be only in this class. So we need a function, excuse me, we need a function and the name is get lowest. And because it's going to receive something, we have brackets and it's going to return. So let's go and see what it's receiving. So we're going to have, it's going to receive 3 integer values. So let's call it num1, comma, num2, comma, num3, and all 3 are of type integer. And since it's going to return the lowest of 3 values, so it's going to return one of these values. And since these values are of type integer, it's going to return an integer. Okay, remember previously I told you that this is our function definition as such, right? The function header. This is your function header, right? Your function header is the line of the function that has the word function. That is the name of the function. And in our function header, if we have brackets and we have variables in that brackets, look at what it says here. num2 parameter, num3 parameter, num1 parameter. So what does that mean? These parameters that appear in a function or procedure header are called formal parameters, right? So click at the end, and normally I would tell you Shift Control C, but I want you to look at this form create. Form create is also a method. This method is a procedure and it belongs to tform1. There we go. The name of our class is tform1. So I'm going to do this a little differently today. I'm going to come here. I'm going to go with, let's go and copy that line. Just going to come here very quickly. That's question 1A. I'm going to come under implementation as a comment 1A, and I copied that header. I'm going to paste it. But remember, I need to use this function. So what's the name of my class? tform1. I'm going to come here and copy, and I'm going to paste, and it's going to be dot, and click out there. So just remember, we need the class name dot. If we press Shift Control C, it'll automatically put it in for us. But a question like this could be asked in paper 2. They could leave the class name out, so it would generate an error. So there are other reasons for actually doing it there. So under private, we have function get lowest, right? There we go. Now we need to find the lowest. So we have 3 values. So we're going to ask ourselves, we got to check if num1 is less than num2. And we got to check if num1 is less than num3. Because if num1 is less than num2 and num1 is less than num3, it means that num1 is the lowest. So I'm going to come here and say if And remember this, because I'm using the AND operator, I'm going to put brackets in here, and all I'm simply going to do is say, is num1 less than num2, and is num1 less than num3. So if num1 is less than num2 and num1 is less than num3, what does that mean? It means that num1 is the lowest. So we come here and say result is assigned num1. Now remember, result will return that value. So because I have three variables, I can actually do these three statements again, but I'm going to do it a little differently. If, remember, each condition when you're using an and, or, the or operator must appear within its own brackets, and the entire thing must have its own brackets. Notice when I click on the last bracket, the first bracket gets highlighted. Can you see those two are highlighted? Those two. That means they belong to each other. So let's check now. We're going to go, is num2 less than num1 and num2 less than num3? So if num2 is less than both, then result is assigned num2. Okay? And all I'm simply going to do now is, to save time, I'm going to come here and there we go. And I'm going to check now if num3 is less than num1 and if num3 is less than num2, then it must return num3. There is definitely a much more logical way of actually doing this using an if, then, else, etc. But remember, the simplest way is the best way. So let's understand what we're doing here. It's receiving three numbers, num1, num2, num3. If num1 is both less than num2 and less than num3, it'll return num1. If num2 is less than num1 and less than num3, then it'll return num2. And if num3 is less than num1 and less than num2, it will return num3. Now remember, only one of these things are going to be true. So it's not going to come through all three results. Okay, so let's go back to our question. Then we have a method called show arrays that will display the names and totals of all learners. We can't really do that right now. We can't do the rest of it because it deals with the arrays. So let's come down to this question. The second part, write code for each of the following buttons. The first button, extract and display. Write code to extract each line of the data from the text file results.txt. Now, if we want to read data from a text file, what we need to do is access the text file. So just remember, I'm going to come here, go back to design, and here we go. Extract. Now, since we're going to be accessing a text file, we need a text file variable. I like to call it T file, short for temp file, right? Text file. Now, remember the data that we're going to be getting from the text file is of type string. So let's call it S line, the S4 string of type string. Okay. Then I need to look at my question again. Now, let's come here. We need to do the following. After we extract each line, and that line could look like this, we need to do the following. We need to create a new name by joining the initial of the first name. Now remember, it's surname and then first name. Let's look at our question. It's surname and then first name. Okay, so we need to have a variable for the surname. We need to have a variable for the first name. And then obviously we need to have a variable for mark 1, mark 2, mark 3. And here's the thing, right? We can go and declare lots of variables. For example, I can come here and I'm going to say S F name, comma, S surname, okay, of type string. Then remember that line of text from the text file is of type string. So when I get 40 and 18 and 30, they are string. We need to take those strings and convert it into integers. So first I have to get it as a string, then I can convert it to integer. So I'm going to come here. I need 3 S mark 1, S mark 2, S mark 3. These are 3 variables that will get the 3 marks as strings. Then I'm going to have 3 integer variables, mark 2, comma, I mark 3 of type integer. All right, so we're going to do something with that. Okay, so let's go here. Now, first things first, before we actually get the data from a text file, we need to link the logical file. Now just remember here, T file is the logical file. What does that mean? It exists in RAM, in primary memory. My physical file, right? So my logical file is this here. My physical file is results.txt. Now, what does that mean? A physical file exists on disk. A logical file exists in RAM. Right. So I need to link the two. And to link that, we use, assigned file. Assigned file basically means link my logical file to my physical file and my logical file to my physical file. Is it called results? Yes. Now, why am I checking? I'm checking for this S. Sometimes I might make a mistake and check now, hey, results, no, right? I might type in result and it will give me an error. It'll say file not found. Let's go try that out. I'm making it result. To open the file, to get data from an existing file, we use reset. Mistake here. It's T file. I'm going to say reset T file. So it's going to open that file. And I tell all learners that if you open something, you can close it as well. And everything else you want to do, you can come back and do it in between. So let's try this out so far. And and it's going to give me an error. Raised exception, end of line, out error with message. The specified file was not found. Got it? Why? Because it's not result, it's results.txt. Which brings me to the following. Before we try to open a file, we need to check if it exists. So before we actually do all of these things, let's go and check first if the file exists. Only if it exists, then only can I do this. Okay, so typically in an examination, they'll tell you, check that the file exists. If the file doesn't exist, then display a suitable message and terminate the application. So how do we do that? We use an existing function called, we'll say if file exists, plural. And what's the name of my physical file? I'm going to put here result.txt. I'm putting the wrong name on purpose. Now, if it exists, by the way, file exists returns true, a Boolean value true if it exists, or false if it doesn't exist. So if it exists, then I'm going to put a begin there and end, and there we go. Can you see that? So all of this will only take place if it exists. Now, if it doesn't exist, I need an else. So if I have an else, this begin and end belongs to the if, the then part. I must remove that semicolon because there's going to be an else, display a suitable message, show message, file not found. Okay, and to terminate the application, it's application dot terminate. And it'll stop the program. Okay, now remember, I've got the wrong file name here. So let's do it. There we go. File not found. And the program doesn't crash like before. Click OK, the program finishes. Now, let's go and change the name to the correct name. It's not going to do anything right now. It's just going to open and close the file. Can you see? Nothing's happening. So now, once we've actually opened the file, right, we need to be able to loop through the file. So this is linking the logical and physical files. This opens the file for input only. Input means to read from. Put this in brackets. To read from. And this breaks the link between the logical and physical files, right? So now to go through an entire file from beginning to end, we don't know how many lines there are. So we use a while loop, which is a conditional loop. And while it is not the end of the file of T file, that's our logical file. Now, if it's not the end, then go and do the following. Can you see that? So how do we get data from a text file? We use readln. Readln from where we are reading from T file. And when I get the data, put it in my variable S line. Can you see that? So all this is simply going to do is get the data from there. So if I run it, nothing's really going to happen. Okay, see, nothing's happened because I'm not doing anything with it as such. So as a student answering an exam question, what I do is I would go and display that line in my rich edit just to check, hey, did I open, access, and get the data from the text file? Okay, so there we go. Can you see that? This is all the data from the text file. It read the first line, it displayed. It read the second line, it displayed. Now another little trick. Let's go to design. This is my rich edit. And if you look at scroll bars, let's go and put vertical scroll bars. So let's check what that does. Can you see the scroll bar? So it makes it easier to see all of our data. So remember, we don't have to display it. I just displayed it to show you that we are getting data from the text file. Now, coming to this question, we have to create a new name, right? By joining the initial of the first name followed by a period and a space. So how do we do that? Let's go and do that now. So we need to separate this data. And how do we do that? So what is my delimiter? It's the hash. So I need to find the position of the hash. Now, what exactly does that mean? So I'm just going to show you this very quickly. Let's create a new blank document, insert table. No, let's do that. Okay, so if I had, sorry, A T K I N S hash and T C H I N A N, and I had another hash. Now here's the thing. This is position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Now here's the thing. Yeah, there we go. So we need to pull out the surname. In order to do that, we need to find the position of the hash. Now the hash is at position 7. In each name, it's going to be at a different position. So we know a function. I'm going to come here and call this IPOS, right? So I'm just going to put a comment here, separate the data. So let's do that. Firstly, I have to find the position using the pos function. And what am I looking for the position of? I'm looking for the position of the hash. Where am I looking for it? I'm looking for it in S line. So now remember, in this case, the first line is a Atkins-Tashiana. So it's going to be at position 7. So IPOS will actually have 7. But listen to this. I must extract data from position 1 to position 6. So how do I write 7 as a 6? I subtract 1. But the variable that represents that 7 is IPOS. So I'm going to come here for surname is assigned to extract data from a string. We use copy. Where am I copying from? S line. What position am I starting? 1. And how many characters am I going to copy? It's going to be IPOS minus 1. Remember, IPOS is 7. 7 minus 1 makes that 6. Got it. So that will take out the surname. That will take out the surname so far. So remember, this is still S line. Now, I must get rid of all of this because I need to copy the next part. So what do? I use the delete procedure. Where am I deleting from? I'm deleting from S line. From what start position? 1. For how many characters? Now remember, I need to get rid of the hash as well. The hash is IPOS. And that will do the following. It would come here and it will delete all of that. And you know what happens? The positions change. Now that will become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 10. And let's assume I had the value 4. It was a 40, right? So I can go insert a column to the right. 11 and let's, okay. So once again, I need to take out Tashiana. I need to find the position of the hash. So you'll notice it's the same thing. IPOS is assigned pos of. I'm looking for the hash. I'm looking for it in S line. And this time around, IPOS will have position 9. So once again, its first name is assigned copy from where? From S line, starting at position 1, 2. Remember, IPOS is the position of the hash, so it's going to be IPOS minus 1. And once again, I'm going to go and delete from where? From S line, comma 1, comma IPOS. And that, guys, would delete all of that. And then we left with each time round, right? We're going to be, now we've got 3 more items of data. So let's just do this very quickly. Sorry about that. Insert columns to the right and once more to the right and once more to the right. So what were her marks? 40, 18, 30, right? 40, 18, 30. So it'll be 40 hash 18 hash and 30. So once again, when I delete, that will become 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Sorry, that's 30. Can you see that? Okay, sorry. So I need to find the position of the hash again, and that is there at position 3. So once again, I've got 3 more marks. Now, same thing, people. I'm going to come here and say Control C, and I'm going to paste that. I found the position, and this time round, IPOS will be 3. I need to copy the first 2. So remember, it's a string, so smark1 is assigned copy from where? From S line, comma 1, comma IPOS minus 1, and then delete. And that would get my first mark. And then when we delete, that is gone. And then once again, the positions change. Oh, sorry. The positions change, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, I need to get mark 2 now. So it's the exact same thing. But all I do is change that to S mark 2. And these 3 would be deleted. So what's left in S line now? The only thing left is the last mark. So, although I shouldn't do this, but basically I'm going to say S mark 3 is assigned S line. That's your last mark. Now remember, this is where you are separating the data. In this part, you are extracting surname. In this part, you are extracting first name. Here, you're extracting mark 1. Here, you're extracting mark 2. And here, you're not actually extracting, but it's mark 3. So we've extracted everything. Okay. So we've extracted it all. We've got our 3 marks. But remember, they strings. They are strings. So what do? Let's convert the marks from string to integer. Now do we do that? We've got variable I mark 1 is assigned, and we use the predefined function string to int, and it'll be s mark 1. Then I mark 2 is assigned string to int s mark 2, and lastly I mark 3 is assigned string to int s mark 3, and that's going to get all of it out. So we've extracted the surname, we've extracted the first name, right? We've extracted the 3 marks. Now, let's go back to the question. And the question basically says, firstly, create a new name by joining the initial of the first name followed by a period. In South Africa, a period is called a full stop, and a space, and you're going to join the surname to that. So, for example, Atkins Tashiana becomes T dot space Atkins. More importantly, the new name that you created must be added to the combo box. So let's go and create our new name. So we need a new name. So I'm going to do this, right? I'm just going to call it S new name of type string. And I need the initial of the first name. So S new name is assigned. Now here's the thing. If I had okay, if I had, sorry, okay, Tashiana, but anyway, I need the first character. It's at position 1. So what do I do? I've got S first name, and it's going to be index 1. It'll get the first character. If I wanted the character at position 5, I'll replace the 1 with a 5. Okay, and that's going to be plus. We use a plus to join or concatenate, and it's going to be a full stop and a space plus the surname, and that's our new name, guys. More importantly, it said we must add the names to a combo box. How do we add to a combo box? It'll be the name of the combo box, in this case CBX names dot items dot add, and that'll be S new name. So let's go and see if this works. So notice I've got all of this here already. I don't have a T Atkins. Can you see that? I do not have a T Atkins. Look at it. I got a T Munion. I don't have a T Atkins. Okay, so let's go do this. Okay, that's still displaying it, but what are the new names that's going to be there? It's going to be T Atkins, J Bajnath, N Balkissoon, P Barrick, A Devnarayan, J Govender, S Kareem. Let's go check it out. Can you see it put it in alphabetical order? All the A's. So I got A Devnarayan, which is from there, but I'm looking for T Atkins. There's T Atkins. Can you see that, guys? There's a S Rampukar, right? So it actually created that and put it in there. So coming back to our question, extract each of the 3 marks and calculate the total of the 2 highest marks. Now, interesting enough, how do we get the sum, the total of the 2 highest marks? We need to find the first highest mark and the second highest mark and add it, or much more logically, I'd go and find the lowest mark and subtract it from the sum of all the marks. So I'll add all the 3 marks. Let me show you what I'm talking about. If I had, let's make this large so you can see this. If I had 24, 15, and 31, my answer will be 24 plus 30, which is 54, right? Those are the 2 highest. But if I add all 3, what is that? That's going to be 30, 45, 49. My total of all 3 is 59 minus the lowest mark, which would be what? 9 minus 4 is 4, and 5 minus 1 is 4. No, 30, 40, 50, sorry, it's 69. I can't add, right? And that would be, oh, that would be 54. Can you see that? So the idea behind it is to find the lowest. And over here, we actually have a function called get lowest. So let's go and see whether if this actually works. I'm going to take this line out. I'm going to take this line out. Actually, yep. I'm going to take that line out. And I need a variable over here called I total. Okay, I total. And we're going to come here and we're going to say the next few things. So we're going to say I total is assigned. Now check this out. It's going to be I mark 1 plus I mark 2 plus I mark 3. That's a total of all 3 marks. Minus get lowest and send all 3 marks to get lowest. And then that would be it. So how do we check now? How do we check? So what we're simply going to do is we're going to say this is just for test purposes, guys. So please just bear with me. Just going to call it SS. And I'm going to come over here. Say SS is assigned. No, wrong place. As soon as I get the data, I'm going to say SS is assigned S line. I'm taking the original string with the hashes. I'm going to come here and say SS is assigned SS plus int to string I total. So this is going to display everything and give us the total in the same line. And no, it's not, because I'm supposed to come here and say read output dot lines dot add SS. Okay, so there we go. 40, 18, 30. The lowest mark is 18. Leave that out. 40 plus 30 is 70. Lowest mark here is 11. Leave that out. 52 plus 22 is 74. That's my total. Check it out. 22 is the lowest. Take that out. You got 27 plus 23. So that actually works. This is weird. Okay, let's just run that again. 25, 11, 11. That should be 36. 25, 11, 11. Yeah. Okay. So it's working. It's getting the lowest and it's subtracting it from there. So as you can see, that's what we've done. Now, here's the thing, right? Before we finish up, we got a few minutes left. We extracted the 3 marks. We calculated the total. Now the last part. 2 global arrays. Global meaning, oh, by the way, let me just show you, type this here. I came across this in another exam paper, non-local. Non-local is another way of saying global, by the way. We need 2 arrays, maximum 50, and we're saying non-local. So let's come here and declare it. So it's going to be ARR names colon array 1 to 50 of string. And we're going to say ARR marks. Is that the question? Does it say marks? Totals. Sorry. Totals of type array 1 to 50 of integer. Now, we don't know how many values are going to be in the arrays. So we also declare a variable n of type integer. So if you look at this now, firstly, I'm going to say n is assigned 0. And before I take the new name, I have to put the new name and the I total. I'm just going to make these comments for now. N is 0. The first element in an array is stored in position 1. So increment n from 0, n will become 1. ARR names index n is assigned its new name, and ARR totals index n is assigned I total. And that, guys, is putting the new name and the total into the arrays. Okay, so let's just save that. Come back to the question. We need a procedure called show arrays. Okay, we need a procedure called show arrays that will display the names and totals of all learners in tabular form with suitable headings. So I'm not going to get started with that today because that is going to take a little bit of explanation, right? But we will complete this next Saturday. So thank you all for watching the videos, and remember, revise, 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 because at the end of the day, there's no substitute for practice. So thank you and good afternoon.